You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lain. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener, your host, Ken Lain, here talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And we are into the thick of the planting season. Actually, as we get into the 80s and low 90s, it's kind of ideal for plants. They'll really take off with new growth. And what's happening is before we were in the 70s and it got cool into the 40s or high 30s, and the ground stays cold. So it's warm in the day, but the ground, it's all about the ground. So the roots take off when the soil temperature gets up into that 55, 60 range. And when that happens, the top growth and the bottom growth, the plants are just going, I'm just feeling good. And they start rooting, growing. I mean, your tomatoes will start going like crazy. And so this is just a tremendous time to be planting even trees, even evergreens. So your Colorado spruce, they're starting to elongate their new growth. Again, that is temperature of the soil kind of triggered. So if it's warm, kind of goes, yeah, it's good. But when the temperature of the soil gets certain temperature, they just ignite with new growth. Pine trees, junipers, cypress, cedars, they're all kind of triggered by soil temperature. And I don't think we talk about this enough about gardening. We're thinking it's by frost dates. Yeah, frost dates are something. Frost is more about when does the environment kill your plants, mainly tomatoes, your tropical things. But really, soil temperature has more to do about when do plants activate and grow than a frost date does. This would be a tremendous time to be putting fruit trees in because you're going to root immediately. And so you will have bigger roots, more structure for next spring's fruit harvest. So you're going to set the stage for more fruit, more cherries, apricots, nectarines, peaches, apples, pears. You can go on and on. Nectarines. Oh my gosh. You can grow the most delicious, my mouth's watering just thinking about fresh nectarines off the tree. They're just amazing. And so those last few days on the tree make all the difference on how fruit tastes. It's much like vegetables. I mean, tomato, yeah, it's good. You know, they pick those things green. They ripen up the boxes. They're coming across the desert to land in your grocery store. They just taste so much better when they ripen right on your vines in your gardens. It's a game changer. Well, fruits, grapes, berries. I mean, the grandkids and I, we ate blackberries last year. They're coming off the brambles. And by the time we got done, we could not eat anymore. And our faces and our hands were just black. So I'm sure we drove their mother crazy. But hey, it's about connecting with your grandkids and eating out of the gardens. It makes a difference. And so you can do this too. Tremendous time. I'd say ideal time to be planting your summer blooming things. So this is crepe myrtles. I would say grapes. Grapes are late to wake up. They have no interest in spring. They want to grow when the soil is warm. This also goes for your perennial flowers. Most perennials, these are plants that come back year after year. So perennial and permanent both start with P. So they're coming back every year. Plant it once and done. And so it just grows over and over again. Most perennials are summer. They like the warmth. They don't care for the spring. There's some spring things. So candy tuft has been in bloom in my gardens for 2 months. Snapdragons, it's kind of an annual, as it grows for a year, but it thinks it's a perennial. So snapdragons repopulate. It's almost like a wildflower. It just reseeds itself everywhere. Snapdragons love this. They grow early. But summer things like echinacea, gaillardia, coneflower, Mexican hat, Shasta daisies. These are all, they want it to be warm. They want the soil, their feet to be warm before they'll start actively growing and setting flowers. And so really, I defined June as perennial month. It's the month that most of your perennials look their best. This is also the time when your summer blooming shrubs look their best. So this is smoke bush. That's a beautiful Purple, it's not just purple, comes in chartreuse and green, but the purple one's the most famous, and the flower hovers above the top of the foliage, and it looks like it's smoking. It's a beautiful plant. It's a butterfly attractor of all things. So butterflies love the taste of that flower. This is when a lot of your autumn sages, a lot of your, anytime it says the word sage, it means loves the heat and wind. It will bloom from here through the heat. It loves that. And so it's waiting for soil temperatures to be warm enough. Then it's nonstop riotous, just color. And butterflies love sages. Anytime you hear the word sage or salvia, it's the same plant. Same with pinks, dianthus, and carnations. They're the same plant. So pinks have a little bit smaller flower. Dianthus has a little bit bigger flower, and carnations have a bigger flower. They're the same plant. The foliage is the same. Flower size changes a little bit, but they both love this time of year. And they're nice evergreen. They've been looking green and nice. They've been budded real heavily, but now they are in full bloom because of soil temperature. And so butterflies they're like magnets. I tell you, in my gardens, probably the two, I got several. So we love birds and butterflies. We garden for birds and butterflies. We like the activity. The birds are so riotous, they almost keep you, they're almost a nuisance. They're too loud sometimes. And butterflies, you can never have too many. But the flowers they love the most in my gardens are scabiosa, or pincushion flowers, the common name. It's a little plant. Up about, the foliage is maybe ankle high, but the flowers hover about a foot above that. And they look like pincushions, like you're sewing pincushions. And they're like butterfly landing pads. I just love that plant. If you've got a couple of those in your yard, you will have butterflies. I mean, all varieties. Another one is Gaillardia and Echinacea. These are both similar. Gaillardia blooms early. It's a native plant. Has a big sunflower kind of flower, not big as your hand flower, but it looks like a sunflower that's about just shy of a baseball size. So it's that big around. And butterflies, again, it's like a butterfly landing pad. They just love to land, rest, have a bite to eat, fly off and continue going. They just can't resist. So it's swallowtails, painted ladies, to monarchs. They all like it. And so in my trees, there are some trees that are just naturals for butterflies. One is mimosa, or silk tassel tree. So they've leafed out a little late this year. They're finally starting to bud up with flowers, and they will bloom nonstop through summer. And the entire tops of these trees will be nothing but hummingbirds and butterflies. You'll just see them floating around. I mean, with dozens, not just one or two. We're talking dozens of butterflies all up in the tree, kind of taking in the nectar because it has a lot of flowers. The local native that's very similar to that they just can't resist is desert willow. There's a wild tree that grows, maybe mid-teens. No taller than 20 feet. It's a short tree or a big bush. Many times it's multi-stemmed. Has these beautiful flowers on them, kind of vase-shaped flowers, which hummingbirds love. Anything with a long proboscis or long beak loves to get in there and just take out the nectar. And it just blooms like crazy. And the newer varieties of desert willows. So we no longer sell the native one because there's so much better native ones. We've bred the bean pod out of them. And so now we've got one so it blooms, and then it self-prunes that flower, lets the flower go, and automatically sets another flower. Instead of a bean, it forms another flower. So it's a repeat blooming desert willow. The butterflies think that's the greatest thing ever. They just cannot resist it. And so there are just so many flowers. Coral bells, or heuchera. It's a perennial. It's a nice foliage plant, but the flowers hover real tall above the foliage, up about a foot tall. Butterflies are all over that thing. It's amazing. Of course, butterfly bush. It's a natural. Butterfly bush just grows so well here. Another one is Russian sage. It's a kind of a blue spiky shrub up about hip high or so. They're companion plants with each other. Lots of butterfly plants. The best vine, I could keep going on and on. Honeysuckle. They just love vining honeysuckle or ground cover honeysuckle. You're going to have more butterflies when you've got honeysuckle. Anyway, we've got a list of the top 10 butterflies, or the butterfly list here at the Garden Center. Ask for one. They're free, or go online to wattersgardencenter.com. Just type in butterfly list. It'll just pop right up for you. Got a lot in store for you. Be right back after we take a break. Watters garden companion plants for June are sunburst locust, moonshine yarrow, silverberry, and Hall's honeysuckle.
Ideal at growing up fences, walls, or as a ground cover.
Wind, drought, deer, javelina are no problem.
Hall's honeysuckle is an outstanding mountain vine with fragrant yellow flowers that loves blooming in the summer heat.
An excellent solution for a fast-growing screen, even in the poorest of soil.
You'll only find the hardiest vines at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
We are back in the studio with Lisa Watters Lain. She comes each week with your garden questions, just what's going on in your neighbor's yard. So welcome to the studio, Lisa.
Thank you. Good to be here, as always.
How good is it to be here?
It's air conditioned in here, so I'm
Yes.
happy.
It's been a warm one this week.
It
So it's
has,
finally,
it has.
I mean, to be in the 90s, June 90s,
Yeah.
goes together.
Right.
But the humidity later in the week started to go up. Like, now it's 90s and humid, 30% humidity.
That's for us, though. That's a lot. So, yeah, that heat's just been a little rough lately, but you find cool places to hang out.
Shade.
Shade.
Lots of shade. You run
Right.
from shade. That's why we have so much greenhouse glass.
Yeah.
Yes, it controls the spring cold, but then we've got automatic shade structure. Shade it draws over the,
Mhm.
so it gets the sun out of the greenhouses. So you kind of jump from one greenhouse to the other greenhouse to the tree racks.
Yeah.
So
And then you just squirt yourself with the hose while you're out there, too.
we need customer umbrellas. Everyone's issued an umbrella so they could walk out and shop the shrubs and
Okay.
maybe that's too
I'll
much.
work on that.
Yeah, no. So anyway, this is garden
Yeah.
questions.
So, yeah, it's a great question. So, Dan would like to buy his father a Father's Day gift of a fast-growing shade tree for his new home that he has out in Chino. And he wants to know what recommendations you would have.
So yeah, Chino Valley, there's some beautiful trees. Actually, that whole valley from Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, Paulden, that whole area is sort of the same.
Mhm.
And so I would even say Dewey, that Dewey, where you get that tunnel effect through those hills. But you need trees that can take sun, wind, and they've got that hard pan, that soil. And then most people are on wells out there. Not everyone, but most people have a well. So they tend to terribly overwater things. It's just amazing how much, when water's free, you just every day let it run nonstop. And so it just kind of, you need trees that can handle that.
Mhm.
And so, gosh, some ideas. Fast growing shade tree as a Father's Day gift.
Yes.
Perfect weekend for that. And so I would start with sycamores.
Mhm.
One of the biggest growing natives. There's a Arizona variety and a European called Blood Good variety. And fast growing, big leaf, thick shade. Takes the wind.
Mhm.
We take all that what we're talking about. One that's sort of like that, there's a lot of them up and down that valley, is Autumn Blaze maple.
Mhm.
It's a big growing maple. It's the fastest growing of the red maples. And so it gets up maybe 35, 40 feet tall, kind of 20 feet wide, and it gets there fast.
Yeah.
And thick shade. Again, it's a
Mhm.
very good tree. Uniquely made to handle the wind. It doesn't
Sure.
get that leaf tear
Right.
that so many maples get. Neither does a
Yeah.
sycamore.
Mhm.
What else? Golden locust.
Locust would be
That'd be a good one, so-
excellent. Some of the elms, like the Princeton
Oh,
elm,
yeah.
would
Shoot.
be an amazing
That's a weed.
tree out there.
Yeah. Now, don't plant Siberian elm or Chinese
No,
elm.
no,
It's a
no.
weed. Truly, its seeds come up everywhere. But there's new varieties we've bred. That there's a alley elm, gets
Mhm.
bright red in the fall, doesn't get the seeds, grows fast, super deep rooted,
Mhm.
very drought hardy,
Yeah.
doesn't get the elm leaf skeletonized. It's got everything you want from the elm, like the native elms that grow around here, but without all the problems. We
Yeah.
bred all that out. There's an American elm. We saw the one that's downtown Prescott.
Mhm.
That would grow very well in Chino Valley. It gets big,
Yeah.
like
So-
instant shade.
Lots of options to come check out.
Yeah, oaks. Boy, I keep ash. You've got to come in here or shop top10trees.com. Top 10, the number 10 trees.com takes you right to our website, and all the trees that are out there. It shows you the description, the size, the price. You can do all your research. You can even buy it there, pick it up in store, but probably best. It's
come
a
in and
gift.
take a look at them.
Come in. Yeah, come see us.
Definitely. Okay. Meg is in Prescott. She has a very dark shade spot in part of her house that she wants some shorter shrubs and some flowering perennials.
Oh, okay. That's pretty easy.
So, yeah.
Actually, it's harder to grow that kind of area than it is in sun. There's actually more choices for the sunny spots because that's the kind of environment we are at.
Right.
But dry shade is actually you can do that. It's just a little bit more. The choices aren't as broad.
Right.
Of course, number one selling flower for dry shade, hostas. I mean, it's number one seller. I think it's the number one perennial sold in the country.
Is it really?
Yeah, but because of the East Coast,
folks, say not here.
They're crazy, but it does well here too. And animals seem to leave it alone. It's just a great little plant.
Sure.
It is truly a perennial. What are some others? Rock rose? No, that's more of a sun.
I was thinking some of the Roxanne geraniums.
Oh, sure.
Perennial
geraniums. Yeah.
Bugleweed?
Sure.
Not bugleweed. What's it called? Bugle.
I don't know. I'm thinking the number one, though, a true weed is vinca, or periwinkle is another name. Just a ground cover that just grows. You got to make sure it stays in check, or it can take over an area. But columbine, just all kinds of clematis,
Gracewood, Lithidora.
Lithidora's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going off on Latin, people. That's
No,
good.
it's not Latin.
The shrubs,
Yeah.
you're looking at yews, hollies, hydrangeas.
Yeah.
Do amazingly well. We've got pinks and whites and blues. Does really well here, and they'll come back year after year for you. So that's another one. We've got two sections of nothing but shade type of plants. So come in and take a look, and something will call to you. That's so unique. And look at some of the variegated varieties, the creamy colors, the bright golds, a Cuba, like Aruba. It looks tropical.
It does.
But it's hardy as can be. It's got a big glossy evergreen leaf, but it's got glossy green with speckled gold. It's very pretty and a bright
and it's
a dark
evergreen.
spot.
I mean, you would never think that shrub would live here, but we have one in our backyard underneath our
two.
We have two.
I planted another one. I liked it. I had another spot that was kind of dry, that it was shady. It's underneath the mimosa. I thought, I'm going to try that, and it's just thriving. Great. It's gone sub-zero with us several winters. Yeah. So it's just a great little plant. That's the one does good.
Yeah. Okay. So come in, check them out. Sandy has a question. She has a peach tree that all of a sudden is starting to drop his peaches.
Oh,
even though they're not ripe. She wants to know what's going on with that.
So it's stressed. You should watch it. It's hot. Yes, it's hot. And so it's not unusual for pitted fruits to pitted fruits shed in June. Very, very common. And what happens is the plant, they load up with too many fruits, too many plums, too many cherries, too many apricots, nectarines, peaches. And so you get too many of them. And so now it's gotten hot. Your irrigation that you had can't quite, the plant wants more moisture than it's getting or receiving, or it's hotter. It could actually be it's perspiring faster than it can take up from the roots. Literally, the roots only have so much capacity. And then if it perspires faster, it's hot, faster than it can take in water, it can drop fruit. So it'll self-prune.
Right.
Now, if the leaves are turning yellow, that's different than fruit drop. So I'd say you probably want on any pitted fruit at least half the fruit to go away. Otherwise, you're left with hundreds and hundreds of little tiny plums, little tiny peaches, little tiny fruits, and it's all pit, no flesh. So you really do need to thumb prune some of that fruit off of there, and that'll help the fruit that remains to be larger. So it's not concerning to have some fruit drop. I think most folks freak out. They see 3 peaches on the ground and they need to see 103. and they're going, oh no, what do I do? It's common. And then I would obviously water.
Mhm.
You might even supplement, hand water some extra, put a soaker
agree.
hose around that. That'll help that plant. You make sure that all the roots are hydrated instead of just where those two drip emitters are. That could be part of it too.
Oh,
So,
definitely. Yeah. I've seen way too many people with their emitters way too close to the trunks of their
Yeah.
trees. You got to move them out, people.
yeah, and increase the numbers. So
Right.
great questions this week, Lisa. Thanks for coming in. So
Sure.
Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. We'll be right back.
Watters Garden companion plants for June are golden locust, silverberry, Hall's honeysuckle, and portulaca.
Portulaca tolerates blazing sun where the neon flowers attract butterflies.
Available in red, orange, violet, white, and pink.
Great for containers, rock gardens, between sunny stepping stones, or any hot, dry garden space where nothing else grows.
The brighter, the better.
You'll find the toughest bloomers at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. So everything is growing fast. An insider tip on how to care for topiaries. Now, topiaries are the large, people think bonsai. Start little tiny things on a desk that's got little tiny structures, and they're ancient. And out in the landscape, the big forms of that are called topiaries. These are artistic pieces. They attract you into the gardens, and they can be pom-pommed, spirals, there are all kinds of structures. And so we've probably got, 2, 3, 4 dozen topiary plants, whether they're pine trees or junipers, or there's all forms, all types of plants. And the way you care for those is very, very simple. Usually you're going to try to keep that the same size. Don't let it grow. So I've got a Taniosho pine that's on a standard. The standard is we have a root ball, we grafted a trunk, and then we grafted the desired plant on top of that. So this 3-foot trunk with this beautiful, perfect pine tree on top, perfect ball. Then it's in a container, and underneath we've got flowers underneath it. It's stunning. It's striking. Everyone comments on it. It's a piece of art. And so they're actively growing right now. So if you've got a juniper tree that's in this perfect spiral, or a topiary alpine spruce, and it's got this structure to it, maybe it's perfectly square or octagonal. These are things you want to keep it that shape. And so as it's flushing its new growth, which is about now, I notice I need to this weekend prune my spiraled junipers. I've got these big pots. It's this perfect spiral shape. It's not natural. Then flowers are at the base. It's beautiful. It's right there in our seating area where we've got sofas, and it's this art form outside where the grills are. And if we're sipping a glass of tea, watching the sunset, it's got art pieces in these containers. They're just glorious. But they'll lose their shape if not trained. And so what you do, it's real easy. If you just keep it the shape, as it grows new growth, don't let it grow. Just shave it back, give it a haircut, and keep that spiral form. If you want the spiral a little bit larger, then give it a haircut where it's just a little bit larger. With pine trees, they're even easier. You're going to flush this. Pine trees typically form new candle growth, or new elongated fingers. So as those elongate, they're super soft. So you can just go through and pinch them off with your thumbnail. Just pinch them right off. Or if you scissors, pruners, or whatever, I would just pinch off each of those new fingers coming out, and it will keep that structure. So pine trees only flush growth once. And once you prune it back, you're set for the year. That's all. So once a year and you're done. And it's done in spring now as it's flushing new growth. And so if you've always been timid about, I don't know if I want to have that kind of maintenance, it's the easiest maintenance ever. It beats a lilac or fruit tree any day. It even beats your perennial gardens because you got to take a mower or weed whacker or something. This is just thumb prune the new growth off. It's super, super easy. There are some, like we've got a weeping Atlas cedar. So cedars grow wild. So deodar cedars are probably the biggest of all the cedars. They're huge. There's some in town that are 80 feet tall. They're 25 feet wide. They're ginormous. Just let them keep growing. A cousin to that is called an Atlas cedar. That's also Prescott, Arizona. In Prescott, the downtown area, that's our statehood tree. So when they opened the courthouse 100 years ago, a little over that, they planted a couple pairs of Atlas cedars. And so the biggest trees on the front side of the courthouse where Bucky O'Neill statue is, those are Atlas cedars. They're magnificent. They're huge shade trees. They've got to be 80 feet tall again and 25 feet wide. Well, a cousin to that is weeping Atlas cedar. It's actually a weeping form, so it doesn't get nearly as big. It'll only get as tall as you train it to go. So we'll take them and train them. We can put this long runner up, and we train it. We serpentine it up a pole. So you have it go up one, and then we'll just S hook it all the way around, or maybe it goes straight up and then it starts weeping down. It's got different forms, and if you train that leader, that growth, you can actually wrap a house. I've seen them wrap a deck. It's fun. I mean, you just train it where you want it to go. And when it's done growing, when you don't want it to grow anymore, just don't let the leader grow, because it puts all of its energy on the front tip of that thing. And so then you let let's say it's a serpentine or S-shaped Atlas cedar, S-shape it. Maybe you want a couple extra S's because you want to get up to the top of a patio wall, whatever. Then you don't S it. Just let it grow down and be an accent piece. Super easy. If it hits the ground, it'll actually probably keep running down across the gardens. And so you have a little bit of maintenance. We've got some junipers called pom-poms. They're like pom-poms on the end of long branches. So you just, when it's done flushing new growth, just take some shears, easily just keep it around that pom-pom shape. Super easy. But the secret is do it just after they're done growing. Don't let that new growth harden off. Do it while it's still soft. To be super easy to maintain. That's how you take care of topiaries in your own gardens, or if you add an accent piece. Be right back after this.
Watters Garden companion plants for June are moonshine yarrow, silverberry, Hall's honeysuckle, and sunburst locust.
Sunburst locust cheerfully shouts, "Hello, spring," with its glowing yellow leaves.
As summer heats up, it settles down to a naturally cool green, only to turn gold again in the autumn.
This Watters exclusive casts a dappled shade, perfect for reading books or sharing an outdoor meal, and impervious to deer.
You'll find the coolest trees here at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
And we are back with Lisa Watters Lain in the studio. She comes each week. No, I was going to say garden questions. I've already done that. Just to share her garden knowledge, just what's going on in her gardens or with her gardeners that she consults with. So welcome back to the studio, Lisa.
Thank you.
This is about gardening and therapy. And, I got this new Nespresso machine. This coffee is unbelievable.
So
I'm so happy.
Yeah. So my question is,
Yeah.
You get a new Nespresso machine, you take it into your office at work.
Yes, I
At
did.
home, we still have this old ancient Keurig machine.
Well, it brews good coffee. My machine I had here this LED screen went out. So I got one because I couldn't read whether it was cooking, brewing, self-destructing, not cooperating, or what. So I figured it was time. And we had one of those, I think, when we were in South Korea. I think we had an espresso machine in the room. Or maybe it was Ireland.
It would have been North
someplace. Yeah, I got nothing over there. So anyway,
pretty sure it wasn't
I
Ireland.
liked it, so I thought I'd try it.
Yeah,
It works.
no,
I'm happy.
cool.
I'm pleased.
I know where to come to get a good cup of coffee.
You know what, honey? You own one of the largest garden centers in the state. Feel free to buy one. Get one for yourself.
I'm too cheap,
Okay.
and I know
Yes,
it.
true. Gardening.
Which I'm not cheap about is gardening. I do love my plants. So, yes. So gardening. So I've had a lot of people in talking about how they want to attract more pollinators in the yard. Bees, butterflies, all those things that
Hummingbirds.
Hummingbirds, the things that help pollinate. And the big hit this past week has just been butterflies.
Yeah.
And it does. I always kind of lose track of when the butterflies come through, when they show up, but you are starting to see quite a few more out there in the yard. So it's a good time to put out things that attracts those butterflies.
I agree. I saw swallowtails way early, like March, April. It was really early. Then the painted ladies, the little tiny, like half-sized ones that have orange markings all over them. And then the monarchs show up in May sometime, typically end of April, May. And so now kind of everyone's out. All the butterflies are out.
Right.
So it's kind of fun to watch them. Of course, a lot of that is all about timing of flowers. Their nectar, they need a place to take in energy, and flowers are their source. And then some water. They'll be in kind of mud ponds and places where they're getting water and stuff. So, and all that's available now.
Right. Yeah, I did read that if you really want to attract the butterflies in, just having a little spot in your yard that has a little really moist, little muddy spot to that. They love that.
Yeah, so were your dogs. Your Labrador Retriever go out there and lay right in
said
and go,
little.
I'm coming in to lay down on that new couch you just got. You happy, Mom?
That's actually our little schnauzer the other day did that. There was a big puddle out at the store, actually. And she looked at me and she just laid out and flat laid out in it and just looked at me like, deal with that, lady. I was like, oh, little booger.
But dogs are fun.
Dogs are fun.
Cats don't do that. You should become a cat lady. You're a dog lady. Never
I'm a
mind.
dog lady. Our daughter's a cat lady. But butterflies, you digress. So a little muddy spot, perfect for them, but also a lot of the different flowers that you can put in. So butterflies like landing pads. You know, they're not into the tubular stuff like the hummingbirds are. They like flat landing pad flowers.
They like plaid landing pads.
Say
that. Yeah.
Moonshine yarrow is
yeah.
great for that. We got some new moonshine in that is just gorgeous. That bright yellow looks so nice out in the yard. We also got one called Desert Eve Red, which is a really nice
yarrow
red.
as well? Oh, nice. Okay.
So super plants, got a hot spot, put a yarrow in it. You got a spot that is a little drier maybe than some others. That yarrow is perfect for that.
Yeah.
The golden sphere coreopsis, which is a really round, it almost looks like a marigold.
Yeah.
A lot of people confuse them because it's just got this really big flower to it. It's absolutely gorgeous, but perfect to put out there for those little butterflies.
And both are
to
yellow.
land on.
So yellows and blues seem to attract pollinators better than anything else. So those are both yellows that are strong. Perennials. Those are all perennial. They come back every year.
Great perennials. Pincushion flower is another really good one for the butterflies. Has that real pretty purple, nice little pincushion flower.
It looks like a pincushion. The flower does. Hovers, about 6-8 inches above the foliage.
Right.
Just kind of wavers, and you'll see a butterfly on there. The winds kind of blow them around. They're just sitting there eating the nectar.
Right.
It's fun.
Lantana is another great one. So if you want a perennial one, the Miss Huff lantana, which is kind of an orangey yellow one. There's also Marianne, which is a yellow pink one. It's very,
Is that
very
perennial
pretty.
as well?
It is.
Oh, Marianne is perennial.
I had a customer come in, I think last week, and there's this picture of this huge bush, and I'm like, well, she goes, what is that? I said, well, that looks like the Marianne lantana. And it was down at the Chino Library.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah, there you go. Great spot. And tough enough to take a commercial kind of setting where they tend to get neglected more.
Right.
There's less gardeners taking care of the gardens. So perfect for the Chino Library. Take a look.
Yes. Then we also have this perennial milkweed. So the milkweeds, they're not necessarily, they're laying the eggs on it more, right? It's not necessarily that they're laying it, getting the nectar out of the flowers and stuff. So we have two perennial ones. We have the Cinderella milkweed and we have the showy milkweed. And those are both perennial. So they're going to come back year after year. And they go down pretty cold.
Yeah, I think minus 20 or 15 or something like that. Really cold. Yeah.
Right.
And the reason they lay eggs on that is the larvae will come out and eat the milkweed. And as they eat the milkweed, they become poisoned to birds. So birds won't eat them as long as they're eating milkweed. If they eat other stuff, birds will go, oh, delicious. But milkweed turns them. And that's the reason that monarchs have a certain color, striping. It's warning to the birds going, don't eat me because I'm going to be bad. I'll give you a stomach ache right now. If you eat right now, it's to give it because I've been eating milkweed.
Right.
In fact, some of the varieties of butterflies will take on the coloration of monarchs just because, well, birds know don't eat this. So they just kind of, it's brilliant. Just Nature is just
Nature
so smart.
is so smart.
Yeah.
That is true. We also have tropical milkweed,
yeah.
which is a little bit showier in flower. Comes in the red and the yellow. That is a annual one, so you get one season out of it. But still beautiful, and you help the butterflies. So
You do.
why not put
Pretty
it in?
and helping the butterflies.
Right.
That's great.
And then, of course, butterfly bush.
Yeah, number one.
You have to have that. And everybody goes, does it really? Yes, it does. So they actually came out with a new one this year. It's called a sparkler series.
That sounds pretty.
It's really interesting. So it gets about 3 to 4 foot tall.
Perfect.
But the buds on it, instead of being long and spiky like most of your butterflies, they're kind of round and
pom-pom like.
pom-pom.
Oh,
like.
Neat. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Like a sparkler.
Right. So we have the pink sparkler right now. Really kind of cool, kind of different. So if you've done a lot of butterfly bush and you're like, God, I want something different, take a look at those because they do look different.
I like the smaller size butterfly bush because you just don't have to care for them as much. These huge butterfly bush, they'll get 10, 12 feet tall. They got to be cut back really hard, kind of like pampas grass.
Right.
Well, these new series, you don't have to do anything with them. They just
Right.
keep them there and they're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lisa, we are out of time. So
Okay.
great ideas for attracting pollinators, butterflies, bees, the hummingbirds to your yard here from Watters Garden Center. We'll be right back.
Watters Garden companion plants for June are golden locust, silverberry, Hall's honeysuckle, and moonshine yarrow.
Moonshine yarrow is a fuss-free, heat-loving perennial with large clusters of canary yellow flowers held above a ferny foliage. It's just stunning.
Mountain tough, you can't kill this perennial that only blooms better year after year.
Javelina and rabbit detest the summer blooms.
You'll find moonshine yarrow for a limited time at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
And we are back here on the Mountain Gardener. And pollinators, pollinator plants, things that benefit butterflies, hummingbirds, bees, moths, things that fly around, the fairies of the garden. How do we encourage more of those? And I think we can save the planet. I think we can help bees. We can help the monarchs migrate through, and they're in decline. I think we can help them. And one of the smartest plant people I know is Jim Rupe with Monrovia Growers. He grows a lot of these different kinds of pollinator plants that are designed specifically to be beautiful and to attract different types of pollinators. So, Jim, welcome to the studio. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
here.
Glad to be here.
So you have got a separate program coming up. Your focus, like head down. We're going to help. We're going to do this. And so I love the marketing material, the social media posts you guys are putting out. You've got some brilliant plants and educational things. What brought that on? I mean, has this been a coming for years, or is there an actual growing interest in pollinators?
I would say there's definitely an interest in pollinators,
I would too.
and especially with bees.
Yeah.
As a lot of our lands have been kind of bulldozed over.
Yeah.
You just don't have as much of the native plant material there as before for a lot of the pollinators. So just a lot of interest in the last few years across the country with pollinators.
I think even apartment dwellers and townhomes and the smallest of homes to the gigantic homes and everything in between, all of us can do something, even on our back deck.
Oh yeah,
A container of butterfly bush or anything.
Rosemary,
makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And if it's blooming, I mean, the bees are going to find it. The butterflies are going to float around. They're going to go, I'm tired. I feel hungry. I'm going to go there.
Yeah. And, one thing I want to, mention is, when somebody's coming in, a lot of times they're looking what's got color on it.
Yeah.
And that's great color, it sells, it's attractive. But, if somebody's really wanting to make a pollinator garden, to attract pollinators, you need plants that aren't just blooming when you're buying them, when you're thinking about it, but what's going to be blooming 2 months before, what's going to be blooming 2 months after in the fall, to feed the bees and the pollinators.
Sure.
So, I go around, my routes and, things like camellias. I was down in Phoenix. It was like December. There were some camellias blooming, not much else blooming in
Yeah.
the desert then, but there was like 20, 30 bees
Yeah.
swarming around these few camellias blooming,
Yeah.
so you think about, oh, that's a good pollinator plant for that time of year to give them something to eat,
Absolutely.
so it's important to just think, through the season, if you're wanting to make a pollinator garden, it's not just what's blooming then when you're thinking of making it, but you got to think about throughout the year, what can I plant in my yard that's going to
Absolutely.
feed them consistently.
I think of often, just to be selfish. So a lot of folks, they wonder why their fruit trees don't cross pollinate very much. If you plant rosemary, it blooms about the same time that your fruit trees do, and it's blue. I mean, bees love the color blue.
Yeah.
They're just attracted to that part of the garden. They can't resist it. And while they're there, they're going to pollinate your vegetable garden, your fruit trees, your berries. They're just going to naturally be there because they're foraging. They're looking for flowers to pollinate back and forth.
Yeah.
That's what bees do.
I love to have like rosemary or caryopteris around my garden.
Sure. Yeah.
Because those are good. Especially the caryopteris is a good summer blooming
Oh,
plant, early summer blooming. When your squash is blooming and some of your other things you need pollinators for. So it's really crucial to think about having some key shrubs that are a magnet. They're just like eye candy to the bees as they're flying over at 100 feet. Like, whoa, dive down there and visit.
Right now we have Salvia gregii, or autumn sage. Although it's spring blooming, we call it autumn. I don't know why, but it's just Salvia gregii is in full bloom. The hummingbirds are all over. They're almost a nuisance in the greenhouse. I was like, come on, guys, come on. I just need one to share. So they really, really like that. The bees like that one.
Yeah.
So it's a good, strong pollinator, and it's a shrub. It comes back for years and years and years. So easy. You plant it once, and you're helping the pollinators for years to come. I think we can be better. We can save the world. We can save the bees. We can save butterflies, monarchs. We can do this.
Yep.
And all it takes is a few key strategic plants to encourage them to come into our gardens. It's sad that we bulldoze over entire prairies, put up homes, rock it over, and then we don't think in terms of what did we just do? We can actually reintroduce some key pollinator plants that'll help them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So what's your favorite? What's a collection people could use maybe that you see at the farm that we're going to have here at the garden center they could plant in their own yards?
Yeah. As you mentioned, the salvia, the autumn sages are just great for long-term color from when they start blooming in spring all the way through summer and into fall. So you can't beat that. Things like coneflowers.
Oh, good choice. Yeah.
The rosemary we talked about, agastache.
Sure. Summer bloomer.
I love buddleia.
Butterfly bush. You can't go wrong. Yeah.
But I like that one because it attracts us hummingbirds, butterflies, and the bees. So it's a triple.
Yeah.
Win-win-win.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. But just a lot of the perennials you're going to be getting in April, May.
I loved your new Miss Molly series of butterfly bush, because butterfly bush is too big for most yards. And so you figured out how to dwarf it, how to keep it in check. So now it only gets chest high or hip high instead of the size of a garden shed.
Yeah.
And so now we can have the same flower, same bloom cycle, even better colors without all the maintenance of, cutting this thing back. So it's a brilliant move. Love it. That new, what's it called? Lilac, Little Rascal. Did I get that right?
Little Darling.
Little Darling. A dwarfed lilac, which bees are going to like, bright blue, not purple, bright blue. And then it blooms twice. Once in the spring, great fragrance. And then when the monsoons come, it blooms again.
Yep.
So, God, genius.
And that one goes back to it's going to bloom late winter, very early spring when not a lot of perennials aren't blooming or anything. So it's, nice to have that as a pollinator plant for when a lot of stuff isn't blooming. So
I would encourage folks, if you're thinking in terms of pollinators, or just fun, if you just want to make your garden dollars go farther for longer, perennials are a great way to go. And I define perennials as those plants that come back year after year. a lot of perennials hibernate underground, like you said, the echinacea, some of these others, coneflowers.
Yeah.
They hibernate underground. They come back fresh every year. But I also define some of the smaller shrubs as a perennial. So your Salvia gregii, the shorter dwarfed lilacs. You've got a new dwarfed forsythia. Brilliant little tiny plants. They go in gardens, they go in containers, go in raised beds, or just in the landscape. But now you put it in once and it's going for years to come.
Right.
That's a great way to get the most out of your landscape dollars. And they're a little bit more expensive because you're holding them on for 2-3 years. But when you put them in the ground, you get decades of enjoyment. The average age of a peony, 50 years. They stay in the ground pretty much a lifetime.
Think about that, Ken. You spend $39, $49 for decades of enjoyment. Is that a deal?
Are you a salesperson or what?
You can go spend $49 on a dinner for an hour. It's enjoyable, but $49 for decades. I like it.
I'll give you a $20 bill later after this. That's pretty good. That's actually a good point. That's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think you can blend perennials and annuals. There's this mixture. You can make it beautiful, but basically coming back to it, pollinators. We can make a difference. We can attract. There's nothing more beautiful than a swallowtail butterfly floating around the back patios, sucking on the nectar of all your container plants.
Yep.
It's a magical experience. Hummingbirds coming in, just buzzing around, eating the nectar from your flowers. That's a magical experience and unique to, I think, the mountains of Arizona. Well, Jim Rupe with Monrovia, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking a moment in the studio.
Thank you, Ken.
And thanks for bringing in such great plants for us. I know I like to think that we're special, and I know we are because you take care of us like no one else. So Monrovia Growers, Ken Lain, the mountain gardener. We'll be right back right after this.
Watters Garden companion plants for June are moonshine yarrow, silverberry, Hall's honeysuckle, and sunburst locust.
Sunburst locust cheerfully shouts, "Hello, spring," with its glowing yellow leaves.
As summer heats up, it settles down to a naturally cool green, only to turn gold again in the autumn.
This Watters exclusive casts a dappled shade, perfect for reading books or sharing an outdoor meal, and impervious to deer.
You'll find the coolest trees here at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
So on June 21st, it's in about 3 weeks, there's a famous garden tour that's been going on in Prescott, Arizona for many decades. The Alta Vista Garden Club has a garden tour. They curate the gardens, who's going to be. You get to see people's personality come out in their yard. So you get to see these 4 distinct, very unusual local gardens, and they're fabulous. And they host this garden tour every other year. So that it won't be available until 2020, 7 with the next garden tour. I encourage you. It's worth every $21. That's how much it is. $21. They grossly undercharge. They should be more like $39 or $49, but it's worth a day. You show up at a point, you pick up your ticket, they give you the map, you go around and see everyone's tours from like 8 to 3, and then you go have lunch. It's a great place. Great tour. Alta Vista Garden Club tour. That is going to be June 21st from 8 to 3. We have tickets here at Watters Garden Center. Please come get one. We're basically a collection point for them, and we just give all the money to them. And then they go and do good work with other public gardens in the area. It's a great club, but this tour is over the top. It's worthwhile. Alta Vista Garden Club's tour June 21st. Come get your tickets here at Watters Garden Center and just have a good time. We've got tropical hibiscus just came in. You want a beautiful patio. There's nothing like a hibiscus. Tropical hibiscus are those hibiscus that have flowers that are as big as your hand. Bright fluorescent colors. Now, most folks don't know how to grow them. I thought I'd give you just a real quick tip on how an insider. Say, my name's Ken, just gardeners talking over the airwaves. Here's how I grow my hibiscus. Now we've got a A hardy variety called Rose of Sharon, that's out in the yard. You plant it, it grows into a gigantic shrub or a small tree. You keep it out there. These are tropical varieties. They need to be in a container. You're going to grow them on the back patio. You're going to grow them out on a bright sunny deck, someplace where they soak up the sun. And then they will put on literally dozens and dozens and dozens of flowers this season. Here's the insider tip. You're going to bring these things indoors like you do some of your other houseplants. So you're going to treat it like a houseplant starting the end of October through the end of April. That's when it's frosty outside. Here's the mistake people make. The internet says, let them go dormant. Don't water them. Neglect them. Let them shut down. Don't do that. You want to keep them actively growing. Put them in the brightest room you've got. Keep them blooming. Keep them growing. If they shut down and I take them back out in the following spring, it takes forever for them to wake back up. If you just keep them, keep fertilizing them, give them flower power, get a special fertilizer every couple of weeks, and they will keep flushing growth. Not as much as they are when they're outdoors for you, but it's pretty spectacular. Keep them growing, and then when you take that plant back outdoors in your container, and like April, it just goes mad. I mean, it goes crazy instantaneously, starts putting on multiple blooms. It'll be one of the most spectacular. It will be talked about by every neighbor, every friend that comes over, every family member that you have tea with, watch a sunset. They're going to go, wow, what's that plant? Well, let me tell you, this guy over here at this garden center, Watters Garden Center, taught me how to winter these things over, and it's so easy. That's how you grow tropical hibiscus. We've got 3 or 4 or 5 varieties in right now in your backyard.
Watters Garden companion plants for June are golden locust, moonshine yarrow, Hall's honeysuckle, and gilt-edged silverberry.
Gilded-edged silverberry grows head high with bright gold and blue leaves that screens out the most obnoxious neighbors while standing up to blistering heat and wind.
The super sweet flowers are utterly animal-proof. Even javelina and deer don't like the taste of this local shrub.
You'll find the best evergreen natives at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. For a more fruitful garden, increased success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit wattersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Watters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.